the fall of Earth, the night sky above Earth burned with fire. Alien ships, massive and merciless, filled the heavens like dark clouds. Their weapons tore through cities, splitting towers in half, turning oceans into boiling steam. What had once been a world full of life and hope was now a battlefield of ash and silence. In New York, flames rose higher than the tallest buildings. In Beijing, whole streets cracked open under alien bombardments. From Africa to Europe, from Asia to the Americas, the story was the same. Humanity fought, but humanity fell. The human armies resisted with all they had. Jets screamed through the sky, tanks rolled across broken streets, and soldiers fired until their weapons melted in their hands. But nothing could stop the storm that came from above. The aliens were stronger, faster, older. Their ships blotted out the sun, and their weapons cut through steel as if it were paper. Still, the humans did not give up. On the ruins of Paris, soldiers fought hand-to-hand with armored invaders, refusing to run. In the burning deserts of Africa, resistance groups rose again and again, even when the air was filled with smoke and dust. In orbit, Earth's last warships fought until their hulls cracked open, until their crews burned with their ships. The aliens mocked them for it. This is your strength. The alien commander laughed as his fleet bombarded the last human defenses. This is the mighty species of Earth. But the human spirit burned even as their world fell in the ashes of London. A young soldier whispered to his commander, "We'll be back. Even if we lose today, we'll be back." The commander placed a hand on his shoulder. His eyes were tired, but his voice was steady. Yes, humanity always returns. And then the sky split open. Alien fire rained down, drowning their words in flame. Within weeks, Earth was broken. Cities were gone, oceans black with smoke, forests turned to wasteland. The alien empire raised its flag over the planet and declared, "Victory, humanity," they said, was finished. Survivors were scattered. Some fled to hidden colonies at the edge of known space. Some became refugees, wandering from one station to another, begging for food, for air, for mercy. Others were captured, forced into labor camps, treated as nothing more than slaves. But the fire of humanity did not die. Among the scattered survivors, whispers began. Whispers of a plan, of a secret buried deep in Earth long before the war began. Something ancient, something terrifying, something not made by humans, but waiting for humans in the farthest colonies, hidden in shadows. Leaders of the resistance gathered. They remembered Earth not as ashes, but as home. "We cannot fight them with our ships," one said. "We cannot fight them with our weapons. We need something more." And then an old scientist stepped forward. His face was lined with age, his eyes dim with years of struggle, but his voice was sharp with fire. "There is something more," he said. "Something older than war, older than the aliens who took our home. We found it once, long ago, buried under the mountains of Earth. We hid it because we feared it. But now it is the only hope we have left." The room fell silent. The survivors listened, their hearts pounding. Could it be true? Could something still hidden on Earth turn the tide? The old scientist nodded slowly. "If we return for it, humanity will rise again." The decision was made. While the galaxy laughed at the fallen humans, while the aliens celebrated their easy victory, humanity prepared in silence. Small fleets were built, not to fight, but to survive. Soldiers were trained, not to defend, but to return. Children were raised not as victims, but as seeds of vengeance. For years, the aliens spoke of Earth as a warning. This is what happens to those who defy us, they said. The humans are gone. Their world is ours. But in the shadows of forgotten colonies, in the silence of hidden bases, humanity's voice whispered, "No, Earth is not lost. One day we will return." Far beneath the ruined mountains of Earth, deep in chambers untouched by fire and invasion, ancient machines began to stir. Lights blinked on in the dark, humming with strange energy. The air trembled with power not of this world. The relic was waking, and when humanity returned, it would not return with just ships or weapons. It would return with something ancient, something terrifying, something the galaxy had forgotten, but would soon remember in fear. The survivors' secret years passed after the fall of Earth, but the wound never healed. Across the galaxy, humans lived as broken wanderers. Some hid in old mining colonies, scraping food from the dirt. Others drifted on small ships, moving from one station to another, chased away by alien rulers who called them the defeated ones. The galaxy mocked them. "The humans are finished," alien merchants whispered. "They are a memory, alien." Generals laughed, but they were wrong, because humanity was not finished. Humanity was waiting in a hidden base on a frozen moon. A group of human survivors gathered. The air inside was cold, the walls rough and unpolished, but the people inside carried something stronger than fear. They carried determination. At the center of the chamber stood Admiral Rena Vale, one of the last commanders of Earth's fleet. Her uniform was torn and faded, but her voice still carried the weight of command. She looked at the crowd of soldiers, engineers, and refugees. "We cannot fight the Empire with ships. We cannot fight them with guns. But there is another way. Something older. Something buried on Earth itself." The people shifted uneasily. Many had heard the whispers. Few believed them. An old scientist stepped forward. His name was Dr. Elias Morin, once a quiet researcher, now a man carrying a secret larger than any weapon. He placed a small device on the table. It glowed faintly, pulsing with strange light. "This," he said, his voice rough but steady, "is not of human design. We found it long before the war began, hidden under the mountains of Earth, deep in the rock, untouched for millions of years. We never understood it. We only knew one thing. It was not dead. It was waiting." The chamber fell silent. Admiral Vale's eyes narrowed. Waiting for what? The scientist looked around, his gaze hard. For us, the crowd stirred. Some whispered in awe. Some laughed nervously. But Vale did not laugh. She stepped closer, staring at the glowing device. "Is this the power the whispers speak of? The thing older than war?" The scientist nodded. "This is only a fragment. The real relic lies still buried on Earth. What you see is just a piece we managed to recover before the invasion. And even this fragment carries energy beyond our understanding. Enough to power a fleet for a century. Enough to burn through the shields of an Empire warship." The crowd gasped. One young soldier clenched his fists. "If that is true, then why didn't we use it when Earth was falling?" The scientist lowered his head. "Because we feared it. We did not know what it would awaken. Some believed it could destroy not only our enemies, but us as well. So we hid it, buried it again. But now," his eyes burned as he looked back at the Admiral, "now we cannot afford fear." Vale stood tall, her voice sharp. Then our path is clear. We must return to Earth. We must recover the relic. The chamber erupted in voices. Some shouted in agreement, their hearts filled with hope. Others argued, their fear louder than courage. It's suicide. One man cried, "The Empire watches. Earth, anyone who goes near will be destroyed." "They already destroyed us," a woman replied, her eyes wet with tears. "What more can they take? If this relic can give us a chance, even a small one, we have to try." Silence fell again. Everyone turned to the Admiral. Vale's voice was steady, unshakable. "The Empire thinks we are broken. They think we are finished. Let us prove them wrong. Let us return to our home and take back what is ours." The scientist placed both hands on the glowing fragment. "If we succeed, the galaxy will remember why humans should never be underestimated." Far away, in the ruins of Earth, the relic stirred once more. Deep beneath the mountains, hidden chambers pulsed with light. The ground trembled as ancient machines awakened from their long sleep. The aliens who occupied Earth did not notice. They thought the planet was silent, dead. But below their feet, something older than their empire began to breathe. Back on the frozen moon, Admiral Vale raised her voice. "Prepare the fleet. Gather every soldier, every ship, every survivor. With the will to fight, we are going home." The crowd erupted in cheers. For the first time since Earth had fallen, hope spread like fire. But hope was not the only thing spreading. In the dark halls of alien stations, spies carried whispers. They reported back to their masters. "The humans are planning something. They speak of a relic. They speak of Earth." The alien commander who ruled Earth laughed when he heard. "Let them come. They are weak. Whatever they search for, we will crush them again." But deep inside, even he felt a chill. Because even empires fear what they do not understand. And humanity was coming back with something the galaxy had forgotten. Something ancient, something terrifying. The return begins. The frozen moon was no longer silent. Hangars roared with engines. Soldiers marched in rows. And old ships patched, rusted, barely holding together, were prepared for war. Humanity had been broken once, but now the pieces were being forged into something sharper. Admiral Vale stood at the center of the command deck of the lead ship, her hands resting on the railing. Before her, dozens of screens flickered with data, but her eyes were fixed on a single glowing crate. In the middle of the chamber, inside it lay the fragment of the relic. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and strong. "It knows," Dr. Moran whispered, his eyes fixed on the glow. "It feels us. It knows we are ready." Vale did not reply. She only gave the order. All ships prepare to move. Engines rumbled. Small freighters, old warships, even civilian carriers joined the fleet. Many were falling apart. Some carried more refugees than soldiers. But each vessel carried the same fire, the will to return home. For weeks they traveled through the dark, hiding from alien patrols. They slipped between nebulae, crept along forgotten trade routes, their engines silent and cold when sensors passed too close. The aliens ruled the galaxy, but even empires could not watch every shadow. Inside the ships, soldiers trained with makeshift weapons. Children whispered stories of Earth, stories they had never seen with their own eyes, but carried. In their blood, and in the heart of the lead ship, the relic fragment glowed brighter each day, as if guiding them forward. Finally, the fleet reached the edge of the Sol system, through the viewport. They saw it, Earth their home, But it was no longer the blue world they remembered. Smoke still rose from its surface. Alien machines crawled across its oceans. The skies were filled with Empire warships, circling like vultures around a corpse. Many on the human ships wept at the sight, some with sorrow, some with fury, but no one turned back. Admiral Vale's voice echoed through the fleet. "This is it, our world, our home, and we will take it back." The fleet moved forward. The aliens saw them immediately. On the alien flagship, above Earth, Commander Zaran sneered at the tiny force appearing on his scanners. "Humans," he muttered, "pathetic. Do they think these rusting ships can threaten us?" His officers laughed. "Shall we destroy them now, Commander?" Zaran leaned back in his throne, his voice filled with arrogance. "No, let them come. Closer, let them see their home one last time before we scatter them into dust." But as the humans advanced, something strange happened. The relic fragment aboard the lead ship pulsed, and then pulsed again, harder. Its light filled the chamber, blinding and alive. Systems on the ship surged with power. Old engines suddenly roared as if new. Broken weapons glowed with fresh fire. Dr. Moran stared in awe. "It is awakening, not just here. The relic buried on Earth, it feels us." And deep under Earth's mountains, the buried relic answered. The ground cracked as light spilled. Through ancient stone, alien soldiers on the surface stumbled back, shouting in confusion as entire valleys began to glow. Machines that had been silent for ages stirred, towering structures pushing up through the earth like giants rising from sleep. The alien commander's smile vanished. "What is this?" he roared. "What have they awakened?" Admiral Vale's fleet pressed forward, their weapons firing now, striking at alien patrol ships. The humans fought with desperation, but their old weapons should not have been enough. And yet, guided by the relic's power, their shots cut through alien shields, piercing armor that should have been unbreakable. Alien ships exploded one by one. The galaxy's most feared empire was bleeding before the return of humans. The relic's voice filled the human ships, though no mouth spoke it. It was deep, ancient, and terrifying. "Welcome back, children of Earth." Soldiers fell silent, their weapons in hand, their hearts pounding. Even Admiral Vale froze for a moment, her breath caught in her chest. The voice continued. "You were broken, you were scattered, but you have returned, and now we awaken with you." The screens aboard every human ship flickered with images of strange symbols, unknown languages, and visions of power. Soldiers who had been hopeless now felt their blood burn with something new. The relic was not just a weapon, it was alive. The alien commander on the flagship shouted in fury, destroy them now." His fleet surged forward, thousands of ships moving to crush the humans. But the humans did not retreat. Admiral Vale raised her hand, her voice steady. "All ships hold the line." The relic glowed brighter, its energy surging outwards. The sky above Earth burned with fire as the first true battle for home began. Terror in the galaxy. The battle above Earth lit the sky like a storm. Alien ships swarmed in every direction, their weapons firing in blinding arcs of light. The human fleet was small, fragile, outnumbered 100-1. By all reason, they should have been crushed in minutes, but reason failed that day, because the relic had awakened round the mountains of Earth. Enormous towers of black stone rose into the clouds. Light ran across their surfaces like rivers of fire. Alien soldiers on the ground stumbled back, shouting in terror as the land itself trembled. Their scanners screamed warnings they could not understand. In orbit, human ships glowed with a strange energy. Old cannons fired with impossible strength. Missiles streaked faster than they had ever moved. Shields shimmered with a power no human engineer had built. The relic's pulse echoed through every ship, every soldier, every heart. The alien commander Zayron stared at the battle in disbelief. This is not possible. Their ships are. Before he could finish, one of his escorts exploded in a flash of blue fire. Another ship cracked apart, torn by a single human shot. Dr. Moran stood inside the lead ship. His eyes, wide as symbols, flickered across the screens. The relic, it is bending physics. It is changing the laws themselves. This is not human technology. This is something far older. Admiral Vale's voice cut through the command deck. Then let it guide us. Fire at will. The humans pressed forward. Alien ships fell like sparks in a storm. Their shields collapsed. Their weapons jammed. Their engines sputtered. It was as if the relic itself chose which ships could live and which would burn. On the alien flagship, panic spread. Officers shouted over each other, reports spilling in too fast to follow. Our weapons are failing. Shields down to 30%. The humans, how are they doing this? Commander Zayran slammed his clawed hand against the console. They are still only humans. Crush them. But the truth was already clear. The Empire's greatest fleet was being broken by the very species they had mocked. Then the relic spoke again. Its voice did not come through human radios or alien channels. It rang across the battlefield itself, carried in the vibration of space, heard in the bones of every living creature. We were silent when you fell. We watched when your world burned. But now you rise, and with you we rise. The aliens froze, their blood cold. Some clutched their heads, their voices trembling. It speaks to all of us. What is this thing? It is not human. It cannot be human. Admiral Vale stood tall, her gaze fixed on Earth. She whispered, "Then let the galaxy hear us." The relic responded. Energy surged across the battlefield. A single wave of light burst from Earth, spreading outward like a tide. Alien ships caught in its path twisted, their hulls bending as if the universe itself had turned against them. Some vanished entirely, pulled into black holes no larger than a coin. Others cracked into pieces, their crews never given the chance to scream. The galaxy was watching, far-off stations, neutral colonies, even enemy worlds all received the broadcast of the battle. Alien leaders who had once laughed at humanity now stared in silence at their screens. Their soldiers whispered in fear. The humans, they found something older than us all. Back on the flagship, Commander Zayran felt the first taste of fear. He had mocked the humans, called them broken, weak, a memory. Now he watched as his mighty fleet crumbled like sand under a wave, and the human prisoner ships, the refugees, the orphans, those he once called nothing, were now the hand of something terrifying. In the human fleet, a young pilot shouted over comms, his voice filled with awe. "We're winning. We're actually winning." Admiral Vale's voice cut through, calm but fierce. "No, we are not winning. We are taking back what is ours." The relic's pulse grew stronger. Its light covered the sky. For the first time in history, the galaxy did not see humanity as prey. It saw them as a storm. Zayran gritted his teeth, fear twisting into rage. "If we fall here, the Empire falls with us. All ships, attack with everything you have." Alien ships lunged forward, weapons blazing. desperate to crush the humans before it was too late. But humanity did not break. They moved with the relic's will, their weapons guided by something more than skill, more than science. Every shot struck true, every shield held dot, and in the eyes of every alien who survived that day, one truth became unshakable. The humans had returned, and they had brought something older, something the galaxy itself feared. Home taken back, the skies above Earth were filled with fire. Alien ships burned and fell, their wreckage crashing into oceans, deserts, and ruined cities. For the first time since the invasion, the balance of power had shifted. Humanity, scattered and broken, was no longer weak. They were rising. On the human flagship, Admiral Vale stood tall at the command deck. Her eyes were locked on Earth, her voice steady overcomes. This is our world. No retreat, no surrender. Today we take it back. The human fleet roared forward, their ships glowing with the relic's power. Every cannon shot burned brighter. Every missile struck harder. Every shield held longer than it should. The relic's pulse ran through every hull like blood through veins. In the ruins of Earth's mountains, the relic itself had awakened fully. Towers of black stone stretched into the clouds, humming with ancient energy. Lightning danced across the sky, not of storm, but of power older than war. Alien soldiers on the ground panicked. They fired at the towers, but their weapons fizzled out like sparks in rain. The relic absorbed everything, feeding on their fury. Growing stronger, Commander Zayran, aboard the alien flagship, felt the fear he had denied for too long. His once proud fleet lay in ruins, and his enemies, the humans he had mocked, now commanded a force he could not understand. "This is impossible," he whispered, his claws digging into the arm of his throne. "They should be extinct. They should be nothing. Yet they were everything." The relic's voice filled every corner of the battlefield. Its sound neither male nor female, neither human nor alien. It was eternal, carried in the air, the earth, the stars. You burned their home. You called them weak. Now you face the strength you forgot. Humanity has returned, and with them, so have we. The alien flagship shuddered as a beam of light struck its shields. Energy tore through its armor, ripping decks apart. Fires spread through its halls as officers screamed. Admiral Vale's eyes narrowed. She gave the order: target the flagship, end this. Human ships turned, their weapons glowing with fire. Together, they unleashed a storm. The alien flagship cracked under the assault. Whole sections tore away into space. Inside, Commander Zayran fell to his knees as his throne shattered. His last sight was Earth, glowing with power, alive once more. His last thought was not of victory, but of fear. The flagship exploded, a blinding fireball lighting the dark. Silence followed. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then Admiral Vale spoke, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Earth is ours again." Cheers erupted across the fleet. Soldiers wept at their stations, voices breaking with joy. Children who had only heard stories of Earth pressed their hands against the glass, whispering, "Home." But the relic was not finished. Its towers glowed brighter, sending waves of energy across the planet. Alien machines that had dug into Earth's soil cracked apart, rusting in seconds. Occupation forces fled in terror, their ships abandoning orbit, leaving behind a planet they could no longer hold. And still the relic spoke. "Humans, you were broken, but you endured. You were scattered, but you returned. This world is yours. Guard it well, for the galaxy watchers, in hidden colonies, in distant stations, across the galaxy, countless alien species saw the broadcast. The humans had been slaves, refugees, prey. Now they were something far more dangerous. Stories spread like wildfire. The humans reclaimed their home. They found an ancient power. They are not prey, they are predators. Fear spread with every whisper. On Earth, humans landed. On the ruins of their cities, soldiers raised their flags on broken towers. Refugees stepped onto soil they had never touched, their tears falling onto ground that felt both strange and familiar. Admiral Vale stood among them, her boots pressed into the cracked earth, her eyes sweeping over the ruins. She saw fire, ash, and pain, but she also saw life. She saw children laughing as they picked up soil with their bare hands. She saw soldiers kneeling to pray, their voices shaking. She saw hope. Dr. Morin approached, his eyes fixed on the glowing towers. The relic has saved us, but it is not done with us. It chose us for a reason. Vale looked at him, her voice calm. Then we must prove worthy of it. Above them, the relic's light spread into the stars, a beacon no empire could ignore. For the aliens, Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a warning. For humanity, Earth was no longer just a home. It was a promise that they would never again be broken. And across the galaxy, one truth echoed in every corner, whispered in fear and awe. The humans returned, with something ancient, something terrifying. And now, the galaxy will never be the same.